GDP, that is gross domestic product, gross domestic product of a country, gross domestic product, GDP. You may be wondering why we are discussing about GDP or gross domestic product instead of discussing about the latest happenings and what exactly is happening in the world. So this is something to do with the latest tariffs announced by Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America. The entire world, all the countries in the world are affected by reciprocal tariffs of Donald Trump. In some countries, he has imposed reciprocal tariff of 20%, 23, 24, 25, 27, 37, 40%. So as a result of this, the GDP or gross domestic product, GDP of these countries, some countries announce the GDP will come down by 2%. Some countries announce the GDP may come down by 5%. And some countries went to the extent of saying it may come down by 10%. Since the time the President of the United States of America announced the tariffs. So people are wondering, what exactly is GDP, gross domestic product? Does increase in GDP increases economic growth, standard of living of the people? Does decrease in GDP decreases? How do the tariffs affect the GDP, gross domestic product of a country? What exactly is GDP? So many people wanted to know exactly what exactly is GDP. So this video may help them to understand what exactly is GDP. There are many concepts of national income, the country's income, the related aggregates. There are many related aggregates to national income. We call it national income also as NNP, net national product. There are many things like gross national product, gross domestic product, net national product, gross national product. There are lots of them. But at the end of the day, all the concepts have one meaning. That comes out to be GDP. Mostly we express in terms of gross domestic product. Okay, to start with, what exactly is GDP, gross domestic product? Every country measures its productivity in terms of GDP. What exactly is GDP? Let's say, what is GDP in simple terms? Gross domestic product is the total money value of all final goods and services produced in an economy in an accounting year. Total money value of all goods and services produced in the economy in an accounting year. All the commodities, that is goods and services. So basically, a country produces either goods or services. Goods are in terms of, it can be cars, it can be construction of houses, construction of roads, buildings, structures, pens even, pencils, wheat, rice, millions of them a country produces. Along with this, the country also produces services. Which are these? These services can be teaching services, doctors, lawyers. Apart from that, IT services, banking services, transport services, communication. These are the services. So we should take the value of all the goods and services in an accounting year. What exactly is an accounting year? We call accounting year as also financial year or fiscal year. All the government accounts are maintained in an accounting year, which is running from 1st April to 31st March of next year. Now the present accounting year in India is 1st April 2025. It will continue up to 31st March 2026. So it means, now to make you understand, whatever the goods and services produced in the current accounting year from 1st April to 31st March of next year, we take into consideration in GDP. For example, to make you understand, let's say the country has produced only 10 pence in 2025 and 26. Just 10 pence to simplify the academic. to simplify the understanding, 10 pence, and the value of each pen or the price of each pen is 10 rupees. So the GDP of this country is just 100 rupees. Gross domestic product, 100 rupees. That is GDP. Okay, to make you understand, next year the country again produced 10 pence, but the price of the pence next year has gone up from rupees 10 to rupees 20. Then the GDP of the country will go up from rupees 100 to rupees 200, because 20 into 10, that comes out to be 200 rupees. Now here you're confused. Now the GDP has gone up. It doesn't mean that the standard of living of the people has gone up, that there is economic growth, that the economy has grown, the growth in the economy. No, not exactly. That's wrong. The economy grows, the economic growth takes place only when you produce more goods, not when you increase the prices, when there is inflation in the economy. Nothing happens. So you don't produce anything. Just increase the price of the pen. Just produce one pen. The price of pen, you say $800 billion. Does it make any sense? So we want to understand more about it. So what you understood now, increase in GDP does not increase the standard of living of the people, does not show economic growth. Then what exactly is economic growth? Okay, there are two concepts of GDP. One is GDP at current prices, the other is GDP at constant prices. We can call them as also nominal GDP, current prices, and real GDP, GDP at constant prices. What exactly we'll see? Presently what we discussed right now is GDP at current prices. That means whatever the goods and services produced in the current accounting year, 25, 26, and multiply with the prices of the same accounting year, 25, 26, you get nominal GDP at current prices. And what exactly is GDP at constant prices? Why do we do that? If you multiply the number of goods and services produced in the current year, this year, 2025 to 2026, the number of goods and services produced in the current year with the prices of the base year or constant year, you get GDP at constant prices or real GDP. What is base year or what is constant year? Base year or constant year is a normal year in which the prices are neither too high nor too low. For example, if the price of a pen, maybe it is 5 rupees or 10 rupees. It can't be $100 billion. It can't be just 1 paise. The price, that's the base year. So the current base year in India is 2011 and 12. The government is thinking of making it 2022-23. The government fixes the base year in which the prices are normal, neither too high nor too low. So what it means, whatever the number of goods and services produced in the current year, 25-26, with the prices of the base year prices, that is 2011-12, you get GDP at constant prices or GDP or real GDP. So to put it in simple, nominal GDP, real GDP. Nominal GDP means current year prices, real GDP means constant year prices. So why do we do it? Let's understand. Just now we discussed increase in GDP, at increased GDP at current prices, it's not a guarantee that there is economic growth. The standard of living is going up. So to make you simply understand, a country develops without doing anything with GDP. A country develops when we produce more cars, when we produce more food grains, when we have more roads, more infrastructure, more buildings, more structure, more colleges, more schools, more universities, more airports, more railway stations, more clothes for the people, more availability of goods and services, to put it simple. We can say there is economic growth. We can say there is more availability of goods. To make you understand, let's see the difference between nominal GDP and real GDP, or GDP at current prices and GDP at constant prices. I'm sure that will make the things very clear to you. Okay, let's make the difference between nominal GDP and real GDP. The first point here, nominal GDP is also called as GDP at current prices. Real GDP is called as GDP at constant prices. Okay? And the second point, nominal GDP may increase because of increase in output, that is production, or because of increase in prices, or because of increase in both inflation as well as the output. But oftentimes we are seeing nominal GDP at current prices increases mostly because of increase in prices or inflation. But real GDP at constant prices increases only because of increase in output, because we are keeping the prices constant, that is base year prices. Third point, most important point, increase in nominal GDP or GDP at current prices does not show economic growth. Just because of inflation the prices are going up, it doesn't mean the country has grown, the country has become rich, there's a growth, economic growth, no. But increase in real GDP or GDP at constant prices shows economic growth. It clearly shows there is economic growth because more production of goods and services, more availability of goods and services to the people. Next point, nominal GDP or GDP at current prices will not increase the standard of living of the people. Your standard of living will not go up just because of the increase in prices. How can your standard will go up? If there is too much inflation in the economy, standard of living of the people will go up when you have more availability of goods, when there is no inflation but more production is taking place. That takes place because that is shown by real GDP. Next point, when you want to make comparison of GDP of one country with that of the other country, don't make it at nominal GDP or GDP at current prices. Maybe there is so much inflation in a poor country, the GDP of this poor country may be much higher than the GDP of a well-developed country. So we always make comparisons in terms of real GDP or GDP at constant prices. Year-to-year comparisons you want to make, last year and this year and next year, we do it in terms of real GDP or GDP at constant prices. So more availability of goods people will have when real GDP increases, not nominal GDP. Hope you understand what exactly is GDP. To put it in simple synopsis, GDP is the money value of goods and services produced in an economy in an accounting year. Nominal GDP is at current year prices, that is, you are evaluating the goods and services produced in the current year with their prices this year. What is real GDP? Real GDP, you are evaluating the goods and services produced in the current year with the price of the base year. So to sum it up, nominal GDP may go up because of increase in prices or inflation, but real GDP increases only because of increase in output or production. So real GDP is more important than nominal GDP because it shows standard of living, more availability of goods to the public. That is why if the country can go up if the real GDP increases. Now these tariffs imposed by the President of the United States on all the countries will definitely have impact on GDP of every economy because of the tariffs. When USA purchases them, when USA imports the goods from any country, obviously the price of those commodities the USA imposed because of tariffs may go up. So people or consumers there in USA may not buy them. So as a result, the exports of the countries will come down. As a result, the GDP of those countries will come down. I'm sure I made you understand. So that's all we have time before we conclude. We'll say goodbye to this video. I'll just tell you. So GDP is more important. We never say national income. We always say GDP, gross domestic product, GDP of a country. That is GDP. We should aim to increase the GDP of a country in real terms, in terms of more production. GDP of the country will go up only because of increase in output, because of increase in production of goods, more standard of living of the people will go up because more availability of goods to them. They will have more cars, more clothes, everything is more, good education, everything will be there. So that's all. In case you want to have videos on any kind of topics, please, without hesitation, write it in the comment box. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe, share and like our videos. Goodbye guys, till we meet next time. Bye-bye.